Hey Stampers, it's Brandy here with Brandy's Cards. I am so looking forward to sharing this cool fun fold with you. Now, I've done this fun fold a couple of other times. One was a couple of years ago for World Card Making Day, and then I made a card similar for Amanda's birthday back in March. And I was preparing for a demonstrator event, and I just love this fold so much that I decided that I would recreate it using the Musical Jamboree set. So this was my original card that I did a couple years ago. Really fun. You can see how it, how it folds and comes together. And I will show it to you up close and personal, but it's a really easy fold, super fun to do, fits in the envelope beautifully, and I like it because I can create some scenes with it. So I'm going to show you exactly how I did it. You're not going to need a whole lot, really. I've got a bunch of white, basic white cardstock, and I did pull out the Country Woods Designer Series paper, so we're going to feature that in this as well. So here, let me come on over here. I'm going to show you that Musical Jamboree Stamp Set. So this is the stamp set. It's super cute. I really like these cute little animals. I always have enjoyed coloring the animals and creating with them. So that's what we're going to use today. And let me go ahead and show you the card. So this is the card we're going to create. So you can see I've got my fun little wolf here, and he's by his fire, and then his fire pit, and then when you open it up, look at that. Isn't that super cool? So the first part says just a note, and then you get to the second part that says you're a great friend. And then here, we belong together. So just really fun. And actually, this one's not complete. So here, let me show you the one that is. That one was the one I think that we took to the demonstrator event. I didn't actually get to finish it. So you can see this one has the pearls on it. And then when you open it, look at that. So he's got his friends in here. We belong together, and everybody is playing music and having a big time. So just a really fun card. It's quite simple to do, and you can do it, with just about any stamp set. So I'm going to show you a couple of examples when we're done. But first off, let's go ahead and get started. So I'm kind of setting my examples over there so that I have those to refer back to. So here is my template. So this is going to be the fun fold piece. So it's 11 by 3.5. Now, I want to point out before we really get started that on BrandysCards.com/blog, you're going to be able to find a full color tutorial. It's got all the sizes, all the dimensions, as well as a fun fold template for this. So you will be able to find that there. So make sure you go to BrandysCards.com/blog. And you can download and print your tutorial for your idea and inspiration book. So don't feel like you have to write all of these sizes and dimensions down as we're working through it, okay? It will definitely be available for you. All right, so with that said, we've got our fun fold. This is the fun fold portion of it. And then we have two basic white pieces. Now these are going to be my base. This is going to be the top of my card and the base of my card. And I'll show you exactly what I mean here in a moment. This piece here is the fun fold mechanism. Okay, so I'm going to show you how that goes together. And so what you're going to do is you're going to cut a piece of basic white at 11 by 3.5. Then you're going to score it here at the 1.5 and the 6.25. You're going to prep those score lines, and then it's going to come together just like this. So this little flat piece is going to be up, okay? So that's going to be up. You can kind of see it from this angle. So I think sometimes it's just really good to see it from all the various angles. This piece is a basic white. It's going to be our base. So we're going to adhere this portion here. Then we're going to fold it all down, and then this little flap here is going to adhere to the top of your card. And you're going to want it all to be flush, just like this. And then of course, now it's not all glued down, but then of course when you open it, it should work for you. Okay, so let's give this a try. Let's just dive right in and let's give this a go. It's a fun card to make, and I'm excited to show you the other examples up close and personal as well. So I'm going to pull in a bit of scrap paper. And like I said, we're going to use the Country Woods Designer Series paper, which I think is super cool. I've always liked that Designer Series paper. Now, a lot of people will say to me, you know, Brandy, when you make your cards, you know, do you like to build up from the bottom or do you like to build down from the top? Like how do you do it? You know, it's funny because I honestly like to kind of build my card from the bottom up is what I tend to do. So I start with my base and then I start with my layers and then I kind of work my way up. But what I want you to know is there's no right or wrong way to do it. Just do what works for you, you know, and how your mind works and how your creativity, your process is. That's what's most important here. So, so as I'm doing this and you're like, oh gosh, I would have done this layer first, don't worry about that. You can absolutely do that. So what I've got here is I've got smoky slate. I'm going to bring in my smoky slate. This is my ink pad. And then I've got some little musical notes that came from the stamp set. And so what I thought would be kind of fun is just stamping a few of those notes around the background. So you're only really gonna see just around these edges. So I'm not gonna get too sporty with my notes and stamp too many of them, but I will do a few. And then once you have kind of, you know, the amount of notes that you like, and let's see, gosh, I want to put a note in there. Perfect. Okay, so I think that works great with those notes. Now, speaking of notes, while we are well, you know what? I'm going to wait on that. So I'm just going to wait on that, and I'm going to go ahead and just work on this piece. So here is our fun fold piece that I had told you about earlier that we worked on together. And so you can see that there it is like this. This piece is actually going to adhere right in the center of our notes. You see how that works? Right there in the center of our notes. So you're going to need some liquid adhesive or maybe some Stamp and Seal, whatever works best for you. And I'm just going to add some liquid adhesive right here to the back. I'm going to fold it because I find that if I get it folded, then it's a little bit easier for me to center it right onto my card base. So you can see I'm trying to center it so that all sides are going to be approximately the same distance around. You know what I'm saying? The same space. So just kind of keep that in mind as you're working on that fun fold. Then I have some of my pieces here. Not too many, but a few. And so I'm going to open my fun fold back up. And I'm going to add some of my layers. So this is from the Country Woods. So it's one, you know, it's just kind of a piece cut from that. I'm going to put it right here. And I did cut it so that it has a little bit of an edge around there because I really liked the way that that looked. And then I just cut a little scrap of the darker blue. And this is just for my little guy to have a place to stand, and it just added a bit more interest. But I'll show you that in a minute once we get our animals colored. But before then, let's continue working up our card. Here in the center, this is going to be the center portion of the card, and you're going to need a couple of things for that. So in this part, I wanted to add some texture. So I love the metal plate embossing folder. I just think it's the coolest. So I decided, all right, I'm gonna go ahead and cut a piece of, I've got all kinds of scrap white in my bin. So I just pulled out a piece of scrap white and embossed that with the metal plate embossing folder. I cut it to size. And now I want to point out one thing. When you put this piece, when you adhere this piece, you don't want to adhere it in any seam because it'll kind of obstruct your seam, make it a little bit thicker. So just make sure that you're not putting it in the seam of your card, okay? That's my little tidbit on that. Then what we're gonna do is we're gonna adhere some more Designer Series paper, and that's what it's gonna look like. Now, because it's kind of hard to measure where to put it, I'm actually going to put a little glue here and adhere it to the back of this other piece of DSP. So with a steady hand there, I just added a little bit of glue. And you know, there is no right or wrong way, how much you have showing. It's entirely up to you what you choose to do, okay? So don't worry about that. And so this whole piece then is going to layer right there on the top of the card. So let's go ahead and add this piece. Now, what I'm super excited about is, when you go in your craft room, isn't it hard sometimes to come up with some ideas? I think so. And sometimes I pull up my catalog and I look at my catalog, and I'm always thinking, okay, what are some ideas of things that I could do? Well, one of the things that are really cool is when I make cards, I always try to make an extra and I always save those cards. And then, of course, my customers, friends, and family that make cards will send me cards, and I love to receive those cards. They mean so much to me. But when I'm looking for ideas and inspiration, sometimes I will go and I will pull one of those cards out. And I'm like, okay, listen, I am going to try to remake this card. And I normally don't have the sizes and the dimensions. I have the card in front of me. So I am super excited. I am going to start a Patreon site where you could become a member of Brandy's Cards, and you're going to get some behind the scenes access. It's going to be really fun. We're going to take cards and I'm going to show you how to recreate it. We're going to craft live together. I'm not going to have a plan, and I'm going to show you my creative process. And I want you to come along with me. And my hope is that we'll always have this perfect finished project. But that's not how it works. It does not always work that way. Sometimes we kind of try lots of different things and different colors and markers and papers, but I'm hoping that you'll help make suggestions. And I'm going to show you how I measure the cards and how I cut the cardstock and how I prepare it. And I'm excited to bring you along this creative process with me and to hear your suggestions and your ideas and see what we can create together. So my Patreon site, that's just one of the things that I have coming. We're going to have behind the scenes things for you to see, Q&As. We're going to have all kinds of stuff. So stay tuned and watch for that, because there'll be some more details to come. I'm hoping to get it launched because I am so ready to get started. There'll even be an opportunity for a one-on-one craft along. That's right. So you and me, crafting together, I think that'd be super fun. So anyway, keep your eye out for that, because I will have more details on that really soon. But let's go back here to our card, and I'm going to show you how we added this top portion. Okay, so the top portion is this guy right here. So we can do one of two things. It's entirely up to you. We could actually glue this piece down just like that and get that glued down, and then we can build it up. However, with fun folds, I find that sometimes it's a bit cumbersome to kind of work when it's it's fun folded and it's cranky a little bit because it's all bent. So let's go ahead and just build this piece before we glue it together. Now this is from the Country Woods, and you're gonna want the Misty Moonlight. This is a fantastic color. It's a color that was brought back in our color refresh. Y'all were asking for that color, and Stampin' Up! Was listening, so super excited about that. It's a great one. And so here what I thought was, let's just go ahead and add a little bit of something additional to this piece. Now, it's perfectly fine the way that it is, absolutely, but sometimes it's really fun to kind of think of ways to kind of step out of your creative zone and think, okay, how can I dress it up, or what extra can I do? And so I'm always thinking about, well, I can stamp on the designer paper, I can, emboss it, all of these different things that you can do to kind of add something additional. So let's move my scrap here and let's start to put this together. So we're going to go ahead and use our liquid adhesive, and I'm going to adhere this to the center of the top. Wow, look at that piece. Isn't that just gorgeous? I would love to have a wall, I don't know, on my porch or somewhere that has that beautiful wood like that. It's amazing. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and add that to the center. Super easy peasy. Then I have a couple other pieces here for you. This is another piece from the Country Wood. And again, I'm just creating a scene is what I'm trying to do. I'm creating a scene with layers and different designer series papers. And then this is that metal plate embossing folder. Gosh, when I get onto one, I don't know if y'all are like me, but when I get excited about one, then it seems like I use it all the time. Just like Daffodil Delight, Granny Apple Green, and Melon Mambo. And it's like, okay, Brandy, enough. So here we go. What we're going to do now is I have a basic white piece. This piece will actually layer on top. All right, so that's where this piece is going to go. But before I get too sporty and get too far in, I'm going to bring in my wolf. And what I'm going to do is I am going to ink him up. Let me see here. I'm going to put my glue aside and kind of tidy up my space because I always worry about setting my arm and stuff. So I'm going to ink him up, and sometimes these blocks are a little big and it's hard for your hands to do it the other way. So a lot of times I will ink it up with the stamp set and push it down on the stamp, but it's up to you. I like to stamp off on scrap paper so I kind of see exactly what my image is going to look like. So I'm going to ink this guy back up, and I'm going to stamp it right here. Let's see, I'm kind of getting my like bearings about me here where I want him. Okay, so that looks good. Now we're going to add him here, but I'm not going to add him quite yet. Let's go ahead and add this piece to the top of our fun fold. So as you're watching me do this, I hope that you're going, well, gosh, I can do that. I can do this fun fold, and I've got some ideas. I hope that's what you're thinking, because it's really easy. It's a lot of fun to kind of put that together. Sometimes these fun folds can look intimidating, but then when you get going, you're like, okay, so that wasn't so bad. So I'm going to fold this again. You can see where I'm at, where I've left off. So I kind of have, you know, I've got my base, and then I've got the middle portion, and I'm going to bring it down. What we're going to do is, like we talked about earlier, we're going to add our liquid adhesive here, and then this piece is going to go right on top. So that's pretty cool. We've almost got our card base done and built up. Now on this piece, I would probably try to stick with keeping my liquid adhesive in the center with just a little bit of an edge. The reason I do that is because that gives me a little bit of wiggle room. A little bit of wiggle room. I'm going to focus on getting my top of my card and the base of my card flush or even, and then I'm going to carefully bring the card straight down, or the top of the card right on top of that liquid adhesive. Now for me, I like liquid adhesive too because it gives me a little bit of wiggle room, right? Because I kept that adhesive right in the center portion. So when I open it up, I have this fantastic mechanism that works perfectly. So really, really cool. Really cool. So I now am going to set this aside, and we're going to jump into our Stampin' Blends. Now remember, when you use your Stampin' Blends, you're going to want to use a Memento Black. That's because you don't want the image to bleed when you're coloring it. And it is really important, so make sure if you haven't colored with your Stampin' Blends, or you're ever confused, I do have a beginner series on Brandy's Cards where we talk about the different types of markers and the different types of inks. So if you ever want one of those resources, please let me know. I also have a PDF for Stampin' Blend Success. Just some of the things that I feel like have helped me be successful, that I have written down and made into kind of a list to share with y'all as well. All right, so let's go ahead. Like I mentioned earlier, we're going to stamp our little animals in Memento Black, which I have done ahead of time. And it's kind of up to you how many of these little guys you want to stamp. I just kind of did all of the pieces here. You're going to need, you're going to need this guy, you're going to need a badger, or a skunk, I guess. I'm not sure what he is. And then you've got a wolf, and then of course your fire pit. Now there are no dies for this set, so I can hear some of you getting cranky with me. There are no dies, but it is super cute if you can color it and hand cut it out with your paper snips. It's really not that bad. So I'm going to set this one aside. I did stamp it on the basic white thick. I did that on purpose. I like my thick a lot. So that, so that is something that I like to do. So I'm going to go ahead and take my crumb cake is where I'm going to start. So, a lot of people will say, well, do you start with the dark or do you start with the light? What do you start with? Honestly, I'm going to just be very, very honest. I start with what I'm feeling like that day. Sometimes I'll start with the dark, and I will start working with my dark first and kind of add that first. Sometimes I feel like it's better off to start with my light marker and just kind of, do a once over and get my paper nice and wet so that it accepts the ink really nice and that it blends a little bit easier when that paper is wet. So I don't want you to get too caught up in that. I just want you to, do what works for you. Honestly, the Stampin' Blends are practice. Practice will help you get better and better as you learn to color and blend. And then, of course, to mix other colors. And sometimes I think, when you're coloring with these blends, you can kind of see sometimes the color doesn't blend all right away. And you know what? I encourage you not to panic. Get that cardstock wet. Get a good once layer on there and just keep it light. And then what I find is you can go back on top of it with that dark marker again. And it just is kind of a process, right, of blending and kind of working all these colors together. Now on his face, I decided that I didn't want his entire face colored. So I just kind of drew or kind of came up on his face just a little bit and kind of worked my way around. So I'm going to say he's got a little bit of white, and that is just something that I did. I just wanted to give him a little bit more color, you know what I mean, to kind of bring him to life, make him a little bit more realistic, if you will. So I'm going to grab the other side, the paint side, the brush side, and I'm just going to kind of come back in here. And sometimes when I'm coloring like this, I will do this 2 and 3 times. That's right. I'll just kind of go back and forth until I get the look that I'm looking for and the shading. I do focus, a lot on some of the, lines that are already put on the image to kind of give you, to kind of bring it to life, right? Some of the lights and darks that are already in the image. So let's go ahead and just kind of, do you see how nice it's blending now? So that color really starts to blend nicely once you kind of get that paper wet. And it's like, oh, okay, I see what I'm supposed to do. You see that? So really pretty. I love it. And I think we're probably there with that. So I'm going to set that aside. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in Petal Pink. Now, I thought it would look kind of neat to have, a little bit of color on his belly. So I'm going to pull in the light one. You might not want Petal Pink. You might go, okay, that's too bright. If that's the case, not to worry. You could use an ivory, maybe. But I have my color lifter, and so I just kind of come in and just kind of, go over that light Petal Pink, and it really kind of makes it a bit more subtle. And a lot of times I will do that when I'm coloring, like when I'm adding something to like, just like somebody's cheek or something like that, and I want to add some color, but I don't want too much, right? So I will do that. I'll just kind of touch it, and then I'll go in with my color lifter. Now, are you guys like on the screen going, okay, Brandy, you've missed his ear. You've missed an ear. I can hear it. Yes, I see. I've missed an ear big time, but we'll go back in and get it. We'll go back in right now and we'll color that ear. I totally missed it. There was a good chance that I may have not seen it, but I could sense somebody did. Okay, so next thing you're going to do is you are going to use your pecan pie. And so pecan pie is going to be your guitar or banjo or whatever this thing is, right? So I'm just going to add, I like to add a little bit of dark. Of course, you certainly don't have to. I'm going to just, kind of around it, just add some dark, and then maybe up here at the top, just so that I can give it a little bit of depth. But in reality, it's quite a small little piece here. So I'm not sure that I'm going to really be able to get too much blending going, but I know that I can definitely get a little dark at the bottom to kind of give it a little bit of life. Okay, so once I do that, my wolf is pretty much colored. Now, of course, you can color his bandana any color that you would like. So what I did earlier today is I actually stamped him, and then I colored it in kind of a red poppy parade, and I thought, oh gosh, that looks super cool. And so I just cut it out just so that I could add it around his neck. And honestly, by adding some Stampin' some mini glue dots behind it, it kind of brought it to life a little bit and sort of pulled it off of him and kind of gave it a little bit of more life. So here is my other one that I colored earlier. So we're going to go ahead and use him. Now I want to show you that some of these other animals that I said we needed to color, I did that, and I did this guy in the grays, right, the smoky slates, and this guy, he was also colored, and he was in Cajun Craze. So I used my Cajun Craze and my pecan pie for that one. So one thing that I have to do that I did not do earlier, and I'm just realizing that, let's go ahead just really quickly and color our fire pit here. So I've got, what is this? This is Light Daffodil Delight. So I am just going to bring this down and get it in frame. And I'm just going to add a little bit of the light color to my fire there. And then I'm going to take a little bit of the dark, and this is going to kind of be up here on the tips. So I'm just going to kind of add it on the tips of my flame. All right, so that's where that's going to be. And then I really wanted to bring this to life, so I grabbed a pumpkin pie marker or Stampin' Blend, and I'm just going to add a bit of that orange because it's really a hot fire, because it's a cold fall night or winter night. And then I'm going to use my light marker and just blend that, and it's really cool how that ends up looking. Really fun and super easy to do. And then of course you're going to want to bring back in your pecan pie. This one is actually the dark. I'm just going to add a few lines in there just to kind of stay with the wood. And then I'm going to use my light marker and color that in. All right. Then we're going to use our paper snips. Now, if you're still with me and you're enjoying my project, thank you for being here. And I'm super excited that you're enjoying this fun fold. Be sure to give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss any updates. And of course, so you don't miss the membership site, the Patreon site that is coming soon. We're so excited. We've been planning it for months, and we are so ready to get full steam ahead. So make sure you like and subscribe to Brandy's Cards. And if you don't already have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, please be sure to reach out and let me know. We've got our Stampin' Up! Mini catalog just went live, and it is fantastic. There are so many beautiful ideas, holiday stamp sets, lots of ideas, lots of inspiration, and of course we've got some really cool card kits. So if you're a beginner and you're looking for making Christmas cards, let me know, email me, and I can help you figure that out with our card kits, or potentially recreating one of the cards in the catalog. We also have an annual catalog. Now this is like the Mac Daddy. He's like a really big one. And so we've got all of our products in here as well. So just reach out to me, brandyscards.com/contact. Make sure you send me your address so that I can drop a set of complimentary catalogs in the mail to you. Now, if you have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, please reach out to your demonstrator to receive your catalogs. And of course, if you're a customer of Brandy's Cards, thank you. I'm so grateful for you. I'm so grateful for your love, your support, your emails, the fantastic cards you send me. They are amazing, and I can't wait to recreate many of them in our member site here in the near future. So thank you so much for your business and for choosing myself as your demonstrator. I'm grateful for you. I'm going to finish my card today, and then I've got some more examples coming for you. So let's go ahead and cut this guy out. I do love to cut. As a matter of fact, there was this crab stamp set that Stampin' Up! Had years ago, and I just thought it was like the coolest set, and I made a bunch of cards with it. But he had a lot of crab legs, and Amanda and I were talking about, and Tanya, how funny it was when I held this class and everybody was like, "Are you serious? You want us to cut out like 5 of these things?" And I actually went from person to person and I cut each crab out for everybody. And it was actually pretty funny. I learned my lesson that not everybody likes to, hand cut all the pieces like I do. But if you do like to cut some of these things out, I think you will enjoy putting this card together and how beautiful it will turn out. So here's this piece. And so what we're going to do is a couple of things. Let me show you this. Because I stamped this already down, my intention was not to cut out the notes, because you don't need to. If you stamp it on the base and then you pop him up, well then, see, he will be a little bit higher than the notes, and so it's a little bit more realistic. So let's go ahead and add some Stampin' Dimensionals right behind this guy, and we'll add him to the top of our card, into the top of this piece here. So let's pick that up, and it's going to go right about there. So in a sense, I'm just adding it right to the top. See how nice that is? And then he's got his little fire pit, so we're going to add that down by his feet. And then I also stamped just a note, and it doesn't look like I've pulled that out, but I'll show it to you again on the original card. But before I do that, let's just go ahead and finish putting this together. And I'm going to add some Stampin' Dimensionals right here behind this piece. A lot of times I try to be careful of using dimensionals inside of a fun fold. That's just because these fun folds, sometimes you don't want them too thick. You know, sometimes it works. Sometimes it's like, okay, maybe I did get a little thick. So that's kind of why. But on this top part, man, you can build it up as much as you would like. And then on the inside, we have these cute little critters. And so this guy I'm going to glue straight down, and this one I'm going to add the dimensionals to. And we're just going to add a couple dimensionals right here. And then I'm going to add this one right here. So he's playing music with his friends. This one is going to be glued down just like that. And he's going to go right about there. So they are having fun right there on the inside of the card. Now let me show you this. This is just, a lot of times I will save scraps for this reason. And so this stamp set has "We Belong Together" inside. So I just stamped that on a piece of scrap, cut it to size, and then I created my own banner edge with my paper snips. And then I added it right here. Now again, it's entirely up to you if you choose to pop it up. I don't think that you really need to, but if you choose to do so, that works for me. And so I'm going to just add that little banner right there. And then eventually we're going to put a pearl here. Now the only thing that I see missing is my inside piece. So this piece is going to go here, and we need to stamp a message. So let's see here. Do I have that message on my block? Oh my goodness, just when I thought I was 100% prepared, I find out, okay, you missed something. But that's okay. That's all, you know, Stampin' Up, it's, you know, or stamping, it's not a perfect science, right? And so that's why we always have our blocks and all of our goodies available. So I am just going to mount this on my block. I'm going to stamp it so that I can see how it's stamping. And then we're going to add it to that piece and put that card together. And then we're going to look at some other fun examples. So let's see. I need some Misty Moonlight. And I'm going to ink this piece up. And it says, "You're a great friend." Love it. And to make sure I have this right. And we're going to stamp it right. Whoop, it got stuck. There we go. Perfect. So that worked out well. And then we are going to add that to this piece here. And this card is almost done. Of course, we can embellish it with our silver pearls, which is quite nice on this card. I think it really added something nice and fun to it. And of course, I like how the color schemes, the colors really worked well together as well. So there is that. So here you go. Oh, come on, stay down. So we've got our card. This is our fun fold. Yes, look at that. And so let me show you the finished card one more time. You can see here that I added those silver pearls. So I added those silver pearls. I also added just the note. This card I did not. This card I actually added it on, I stamped it on scrap paper and hand cut it out, just so a little bit of a decorative edge. So you can do whatever you would like there. And then on the inside, we did our "You're a Great Friend." And then of course we belong together, and I put my pearl right in there. So you can also finish it off with an envelope. Let me show you the envelope that I created for this particular card. And so here I just stamped my little animals. This is Pool Party to coordinate with the colors, and Misty Moonlight. And then I just stamped my animals and some notes. So there you have it. That is such a fun card, right? And that is with the Musical Jamboree Stamp Set. So if you just brushed right past this stamp set, you might need to pull it back out. It's super cute. Really cute, and these little animals are so fun to color. Okay, so how about seeing some of these other cards that I have? Now, I sneak peeked them earlier, and if you're a part of my Facebook page, my Brandy's Cards Facebook page, you may have seen some of these cards on there, because I've been sharing lots of cards, lots of ideas and inspiration. I've been sharing a lot of your cards, the beautiful cards that you send me. I think that y'all are so talented, and we can inspire each other. So I've started taking a bunch of pictures, and you might see your card on Brandy's Cards Facebook page. So here we go. Let's have a look at this. So this is a retired stamp set. So let me kind of say that. Now, it's funny. I I was going to look at the name of this before I started. I totally forgot. But at any route, it's a really cute card, and you can do it probably with just about any stamp set. So this one, you can see here, I stamped the background just like we did before, added my speckles, then of course added this same flower is stamped here, and then I worked my way down the card. And you can see it looks exactly the same as far as the fun fold goes as the other card. Super, super, super cute. Now, the next one is Amanda's birthday card. So Amanda turned 40, and I grabbed this fun fold, and I thought, okay, I want to make her something super special, just about the same way that that I made these. So look at that. Oh, I think that's Fluffiest Friends. Now, she's a cat lover. She loves cats, so I wanted to make sure that I, did some kitty cats in there. She also loves pink, and she's very girly. So you could kind of see where, her little gem is kind of coming off her flower. I'll have to fix that. So then, of course, as you open it, celebrate for a fabulous friend. Happy 40th birthday. I honestly feel like it's almost even kind of a little step of scrapbooking, because I feel like just so many fun elements and so many fun things working here on this card. And you can see it from the side. It's got that same fun fold. Really, really neat. And then for the envelope, I just kind of made my own envelope here and just tucked the card away in there, pulled that in, made myself a little belly band, and I was good to go. So there we go. That's Miss Amanda's card. And then, of course, this was my card from a couple of years ago from World Card Making Day. And this is the super fun card that we made today. So I hope that I've inspired you, and that you will go and create a card using this fun fold. I would love for you to send me one or email me pictures. I'd love to see what you're creating and what stamp set you choose to use. You can pull anything you've got off the shelf, use the designer series papers that you have, and create this fold. Don't forget to go to BrandysCards.com and download your tutorial for your idea and inspiration book. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm so grateful for you. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel, and also make sure you join me on Facebook. Until next time, take care, everybody. Happy stamping.